Hey, what's up, everybody? So, the triangle that we talked about yesterday, actually, what was supposed to be wave E took out the low. So, you can see here. So, that the way I had drawn it is now invalid. So, what we can do now, right, is take another look at it, right? And maybe it's a little bigger. So, this, or I should say, maybe that this whole thing was part of that ABC wave. So here we go. So let me do it again. So we have 3 for A, 3 for B, and what if this, right? I originally had it here, right? So I'll show you the original way I had it was like this, right? So we could see 3 here, and we can see 1, 2, 3 here. And then this was ideally supposed to be 1, 2, 3 here, but we took out the low. So, that's not what we wanted to see, but now we know what it isn't, and it's not that. So we can look past that. So the new way I can do it is it still would work. It still would work. I would actually say that this is 1, 2, 3. So I'm not liking it at all, really, but we'll keep it going here. A, B. This is wave C. Then we're gonna get wave D, right? And judging by the proportionality of this wave and this wave, I would probably draw it out to about there, and then come down for wave E. So something like that. And then that. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it for now. I don't really like wave C too much, but it does work. You could say, well, that doesn't look like 3. It doesn't, but I would actually count it as 1. This whole thing is 1, 2, and this is 3. And you say, well, what about this wave here? Well, I'm counting that as a subwave in between. So, this, you could say 1, 2, 3, but it's actually 1, 2, 3. And this wave here was a subwave of this whole B wave. So what I'm looking for is the price to hold here, right? We're right at support. So support's been holding. So let me look left, right? If you're ever having trouble on the charts, just look left. We're holding nicely in this zone, right? So you can argue that it's an accumulation zone, right? We break out, we're accumulating. The way, I don't like the way we're accumulating, right? Because if you take this out and say, okay, the triangle's gone, let's say that count wasn't going to work out, even though I think it definitely could. What else do we have here since it broke that low? Well, we came right down to resistance, or support down in here, right? And we can see this low here, right? Or this high, and then we have another low, and then another low. So it's looking to me like, if I draw that trend line there, what does that look like to you? To me, it kind of looks like a descending triangle working out here. So this is a little bit tricky here, because it can really go either way when you're talking the triangle we were talking about, the contracting triangle, more pointed towards the upside. If it's a descending triangle, it's more pointed to the downside. You say, well, how do we know? Well, you wait until it tells you, right? I mean, that's the only thing you can do. But I wouldn't imagine that it would go down now. I would still think that we have some kind of bounce first up back into this line. If it's going to play out as a descending triangle, it's probably going to do something like this. We're going to break down, probably go sideways, break, come back up, test it as resistance, and then come down. Well, let's see. Before I do that, let's see. So the measured move approximately with this descending triangle, right? This is just an idea. This is not financial advice. This doesn't mean this is going to happen. This is an idea based off what it looks like. So if I put it right about there, actually, let me get it right a little bit closer there. Okay, so that looks like about, I would say, a 618 retrace, and I think that would be normal. I think that would be normal. So let's go back up and see here. Yeah, look at that, 618, perfect. A little over it, but you know, if you count the wick, or maybe I can move the line a little bit, it's very subjective. Like for example, I can put it up here and it would actually be more applicable because you're at the closes of that there. So if I just go to the, from here to the close, right, from close to close, or even I can even go to the wick, right? I mean, I think it'll still be right at that 618. So yeah, so there we go. Yeah, I mean, both of them now are at the 618. So perfect. So that's what we could be getting. We could be getting some kind of 618 retrace from this move. I don't like well, it's kind of tough because I'd rather see 5 waves first. I mean, we have 1, we have 2, and then we have 3, right? So now we're probably in a wave 4. So let's talk bearish here. So if this isn't a descending triangle, boom, 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 we come up and then we drop down, we tag the 618, perfect. Get everybody bearish. We're going down 62K or 62.5K. I wouldn't want to see anything lose. I mean, basically, we don't really want to, you know, at the end of the day, the 702 has to hold, in my opinion. I mean, I really want to see that would hold in there. I've been talking about this over here, right? So these highs, you can see, right? These highs in here, and even that would be the 50% retrace. So, you know, I would say between 62.5 and 64.5K if we break down. And you can see how beautifully the 50 is got a lot of confluence. I mean, you can see all the support in here, 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 all of this in here. You can even see this point here. So it wouldn't surprise me if we found some support. I mean, you even have support down in here too. So a lot of support. And then if we look even further left, right, and you just extend this out, you can see support here, right, and even here. So again, 62.5 to 64.5K, I think would be ideal for reaccumulation. So to me, you know, if this isn't a descending triangle, that means we're probably going down into some reaccumulation, which is actually very bullish because reaccumulation is the last stage before blast off, right? So, you know, I like to show this example back over here, right? So reaccumulation, and it's not going to be like this, but I'm just saying there's your reaccumulation, right? So we have a rise, we have a crash, we have a retrace, we go down into reaccumulation, and then we go sideways, and then we blast off. So, you know, same thing here. We have a rise, crash, retrace, right? We have this sort of this triangle in here. If we break down, right? There's a difference. Remember that the triangle I talked about yesterday was the contracting triangle. If that doesn't play and it's more of a descending triangle, then that, descending triangles can break to the upside, right? Just the probability, the percentages usually break to the downside. So, yeah, they usually break to the downside. However, triangles usually appear, right? This is why my videos are always longer, because I always have to, kind of explain, feel the need to. If the chart is going down, if the price is going down, and then we create a descending triangle like this, it's more likely to break down. If the price is going up and we create a descending triangle, right? Something like that, and we're playing around in here, you could still break to the downside. However, the percentages now favor, they still favor the downside, but the percentages are better, I guess you can say, for it breaking out, right? So maybe this thing might break to the upside, and in which case, if it did that, I would look at it more as a contracting than a descending, or an A B C D E, and you can have A B C D E inside of a descending triangle as well. So yeah, so we don't have to know right now. We just have to wait for the breakout. Now, I've said before, fourth waves, right? If this is 1, 2, 3, a triangle usually appears in a fourth wave. So this descending triangle, right? The probability is breaking down, right? That's usually what they like to do, but they could also break out. Because the reason why it would be more, if the reason why it would break to the upside is because we're coming into an uptrend, right? We're not going down. We're actually in a short-term uptrend. And when you zoom all the way out, we're actually in a long-term uptrend. So, so that's actually good. So I'm actually bullish right now, above 62.5K, right? Preferably 64K. I would really like to hold that yellow, but if we had to dip our toes in the 618, I'd like to see a wick. And look at this. Look at the bull market support band. So if you look here, and I just draw a line outwards like that, there's your trend line there. So people's trend lines, right? They're like this. And you can see the price already broke to the downside. So there's your break. There's your break. And that's serious, right? That's serious business. And that's another reason why we could continue down. I mean, we did break trend here. So we have an engulfing 4-hour engulfing candle that sliced us right to the downside. So what typically could happen in this situation is we can play around and come up and tag the high, get rejected, and then come down. And then that would be sort of the end of the triangle here. Is coming up here and then getting, so that would be the idea, right? Is getting us down to that 50% retrace 618 and then continue the trend. So if that's not likely, then I could totally, a lot of times you break the trend, you play around, and then you slice right through it. So that's why I'm not big on trend lines a lot, but they are very useful overall. So, but to me, the ultimate trend line is the bull market support band. So if we get rid of that, so that's your real trend line right there, right? Is this line here. So I would actually angle it about right there. So, it's quite a ways away, But if we come down and hit it here, and then maybe when we circle back around, something like that, we're going into reaccumulation, right? And break out. So that's my main idea, right? Is some kind of sideways reaccumulation phase. It could be big, it could be small, right? It's tough to say. So the first order of business here is let's wait for this triangle to break. And by the way, we'll touch on a couple alts, but yeah, let's wait for this triangle to break, and then we can kind of identify, what's going to go on in the not too distant future. But you can see, I mean, we came down, right? We came down here, and we're holding support, right? I mean, that was a pretty big wick right there, and now we're holding some support. So the bulls are defending this line. So I would imagine the price start correcting back upwards, probably over today, right? Probably today, and maybe even tomorrow. So next week is going to be a big week. We'll see how that plays out. And also I can't believe it. The monthly candle ends today. That's one of the big things I was going to talk about, is the monthly candle. We're going to talk about that and how massive of an implication it could be, because the monthly close is the big boy. That's the no joke one. That's the one that you really got to pay attention to. So what else is going on here? Man, my Twitter feed is full of crypto mostly, but is the verdict yesterday. I'm sure you heard about the verdict, right? The Trump verdict, and it seems like, keeping the target on crypto here is not, it's not looking good for the guy who wants to save crypto. But to me, it's all a show, right? Enjoy the show. I think this is all political crap. I think this is just a circus show that's unfolding, and it's getting a lot of people upset. But I don't know, but I have a very good feeling that what's going on here is just to further push people towards making the correct decision. And every sort of like persecution, like the continuing to persecute and persecute and go after, that usually backfires, right? I mean, that usually backfires on you when you continue to do that. So it's more of a political war than it is of what someone did, right? Regardless of what he did, they're going after, not because he did it, but because he's a political opponent. So just understand that. And then also, it's not fair that you're doing it in a state that is basically 100% blue. So there's that, right? But to me, it'll be 100% appealed, and it will move on to the next court. And I believe eventually it's not going to do anything. But just wanted to point that out. I still feel like he's going to run. I still feel like he's going to win. And I still feel like he's really, really good for crypto. And you even have breaking news. Elon Musk is advising Trump on crypto policy. Right? Again, when I talk politics, I'm not talking politics with a plural. I'm talking policy, right? One politic, right? Politics is policy, and there's only one policy that I talk about and that I care about and that you should care about as well, and that's crypto, because we're at the verge of it being totally banned or it totally being flourished. So that's a big, big deal. When you have money invested in something, you need it to work out. And when you have political people that have power over your investment, you may make damn sure you're going to have your voice heard. That no, you're not gonna. Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler and all these Democrats are gonna touch our crypto, right? And you say, well, they saved the day. They voted for the bill. No, they voted for the bill because they had to vote for the bill because, if they didn't, it would be political suicide. They don't want the crypto bill. They don't want it. They had to vote for it because it was all optics, right? Now, people ask, why do they lie so much? And why do politicians lie? Because when you're a politician, you have to lie. Because it's not about telling the truth to the citizens. It's about lying to your opponent. So if you're sitting there talking, you're not lying necessarily. Well, you are, but you're not lying to the people who you're serving. You're lying because you have to lie because your opponents are listening, right? It's all about optics at the end of the day. It's all optical bullcrap. So to me, it's all a show. It's all a clown show. It's all a circus. And at the end of the day, I feel like the good guys are going to win and the bad guys are going to lose. And crypto will prevail. And you could say, well, why are you so confident? Well, I've been really following this pretty closely, even before Trump even considered running. Sort of how this sort of quote unquote deep state is unraveling. I mean, even going back towards Obama, seeing what they were doing, how they were positioning America for a position of weakness, right? And just, to me, I look at crypto and I say, well, crypto would be an obstacle for these people because the way they're positioning the United States, like, sending our jobs away, not because corporations want to make more profit. That has something to do with it, but it's also to weaken the system. That's what it really comes down to. They want to kill the economy so that they can transition us to the new world order, right? And I might get demonetized for that. But the whole point of what they were doing for years and years and decades, right, with the wars in the Middle East, with everything like that, is because they want to put us in a position of weakness, right? And and basically the war on energy and I mean your Second Amendment right. I mean, I can just go down the list, right? I'm not going to do that. But basically, their whole plan was to put America in a position of weakness, so that they can basically take over and implement their tyrannical policies like the CBDC. The CBDC has been thought way long before Trump, right? Their New World system, their total takeover has been way before Trump. The reason why Trump ran was because he saw it coming and he needed to stop it, or at least try, and he was the only one that was able to. So ever since he was in office, I think he's been putting a team together and certain people, and there's a lot of good people who see it, and there's a lot of good people who want change, right? So they didn't expect him to win, and they didn't expect him to be so, witty, right? So smart and kind of devious in a way to counter what they've been trying to implement, right? I mean, if you look at the schools, the school system, right? All the parent teacher conferences and look at what's going on there. I mean, it's just a lot of things that make you scratch your head that we're not going to get into. This is, but the reason I'm explaining it is because when I was in crypto before, well, actually, right when Trump started running, that's when I got into crypto. A little afterwards, that I looked at crypto and I thought, this is going to revolutionize everything: finance, voting, algorithms. It's gonna internet, right? Payments, all that stuff. It's gonna be. This is really, really good. And I felt at that moment like I could be successful, right? Because I didn't go to college. I don't have a fancy degree. I'm not good at school, right? I mean, I'm pretty smart. I can do what the teacher says, but school wasn't for me. Like, I hated school. I didn't like it. I was one of those kids. So, I mean, I even got kicked out of school a few times for being let's say just bad, right? And but I got my high school diploma, but I said screw that, I'm never going back to school, and certainly not college. So, my parents are like, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to join the military. And that was my whole goal, is joining the military. And it didn't work out the way I thought, but eventually I got a job and I found crypto. And that this was later in life, way in school. I found crypto, and I thought, this is it. This is what I need to do. So here we are today. But basically, the point I was trying to make is, if these people are weakening our system, crypto is definitely a threat, because the whole point of their system, the whole point of everything they've been doing for decades, was to transition us out of the traditional financial system into a basically total digital tyrannical system, right? I mean, that's kind of what their main purpose was. But in order to do that, they needed to weaken us. So that's why. So you said, well, why did you say all that? Well, because going back to the crypto bill, right? The reason Democrats voted for it was for optics, right? And it's both sides. It's not just Democrats. It's Republicans too. They're just as horrible, right? To me, you have Democrats, you have Republicans, and you have patriots. So those are the three parties, in my opinion. So figuring out who's a legitimate patriot, that's what my job is. Trying to see who's for crypto, and don't do it by what they say. You gotta, actions speak louder than words, right? And they did vote yes, so that's good, right? And I do respect that. But I gotta ask myself, did they do it because it's an election year and they have no choice? Or did they do it because they honestly want crypto passed, right? So to me, the central banks, who absolutely run the planet, right? You look at these politicians, a lot of them are just puppets that are doing the bidding of the central bank. And at the end of the day, whoever controls the world's money controls the world. It's, the all powerful, almighty, right? Central banks, they are basically controlling the show. And that's why you don't really hear about them. And that's why you look at the media, right? And it's so fake. Well, because all the media is owned by 6 corporations, and those 6 corporations are financed by who? The central banks. So, they basically that's why we don't listen to the news, or at least I don't. I'm sure many people have turned off Fox News, turned off CNN, because it's all propaganda. It's just ridiculous. I mean, a lot of it's good, right? They talk about things that, actual news, but the narrative, there's always a narrative that they're trying to push, and that's what people are sick of. So, okay, that's my rant for today. But at the end of the day, I think Trump will overcome this. I think he actually saw it coming. I think he actually likes it, right? Imagine, like Mike Tyson in the ring with somebody. He's like, hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me, right? He's basically saying, hit me here, hit me here. Yeah, is that all you got? Okay, boom. And then there's the knockout blow. Watch this. He's getting punched. He's getting punched. Punch, punch, boom, 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 boom. Lights out. Wow. So, anyways, forgive my rant. I mean, this is, look, my channel is dedicated to crypto, and that's what it is, and that's what it will always be. But crypto could die a miserable death if we don't talk about things that should be at least talked about. So to me, I think, I'm not here solely for price, even though 95%, 98% is totally dedicated to price. But for me, price is um, is really the king of everything, right? So forget about the noise, forget about the politic, forget about the news, the narratives. It's all about the price, and the price is telling a story that I can read, that when you listen to versus when you listen to the news, it gets distorted because there's a lot of, you know, price will never FUD you. So FUD is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Price never gives that. So when people experience FUD, uncertainty, it's not normally the price, it's mostly the narrative that's attached itself to the price, right? If you go back to the FTX collapse, right? I can't remember. Was it here or was it here? I honestly, my mind's a blank right now. But one of these, I think it was this one. The FTX collapse, right? That was the most unbelievable hit to crypto, I think. And if you lost money in FTX, I feel for you. I had a little bit in there as well. Not a lot, just a small amount. I think I was able to get some out, but it's no big deal. But a lot of people lost a lot of money here. But the thing was, that was a news, that was an event that took place, and price reacted to that event. However, it wasn't the price that gave people uncertainty. It was the fact that the news was so powerful that it affected the price, right? But that was actually the best. So during that time, that was actually the worst feeling in the world, right? I mean, I'm sure many people experienced it, but that was actually the best time to buy, right? And look at here. Look at the divergence. Actually, let's go to an even higher time frame. I don't know if I have it on the weekly. No. Yes, I do. Look at wow. Look at that. So, when we had, I believe this, don't quote me on this, but I believe this was the FTX crash. I just, my mind's a blank right now, but I think that was it. So, when we were in this little area down in here, everybody was calling for 10K, 8K, 12K. We're going down, right? Because this was also a descending triangle, right? And we came down and we retested it as resistance. And then we started pulling back again. Everybody went short, right? Because it tested as resistance. Now we're going down. But it actually formed a little base here and we broke out. So, and then we've been breaking out ever since. And that was the big run. And everybody, who experienced that FUD probably didn't buy. Right? Because you felt bad. You felt like, that's why I don't really like news narratives a lot. I'm looking at the price. So that FUD experience gave us that. But look at this, right? The price told a different story. The price said, hey, this is the most bullish thing you can do, right? Because you had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You had 5 waves. And not only you had 5 waves, you had an RSI that was oversold on the 3rd wave. And not only that, when you created the 5th wave, you had divergence. You had bullish divergence from here to here. We were trending up. This is trending up while this is trending down. Right? A lot of people look at the price. A lot of people look at the number over here, but they don't look at what the RSI is saying, right? So that was actually the best time to buy. And even experienced traders, I know guys that are very experienced who were super bearish, and I couldn't figure it out. I mean, obviously, I felt the pain. I felt the whoa, this could get bad. But I also saw the opportunity. And I know how crypto plays. I mean, not to brag, but I bought this C19 dip. Not the very, very bottom, but I did buy. I remember that day very well. I worked at a school, and I was coming home, and I pulled in my garage. I mean, this basically that was the day they sent everybody home, right? I think it was March 13th. I can't remember exactly, but they sent everybody home from work, and that was when it was full panic mode. So I got in, I pulled into the garage, I looked at my phone, and I go, whoa. It was what was the price? I think it was below 37K. You can't see it on this wick here. But I think it was below 37, if I'm not mistaken, on some exchange. And then I go, wow. So I went upstairs, I took a shower, I got out, and it was already back above like 39 or 4K or something like that. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna buy. And the reason I bought was because we had a back test of this area. And the reason I bought this was because we had 5 waves and divergence between the 4th and the 5th. Right? So that's what I'm saying. So now flip it upside down, right? So this is good to identify, because you're going to want to know when to sell, right? And I can't give financial advice, but hey, subscribe and hit the notifications as we get this bull run continuing to go. A lot of mistakes happen during bull markets than they do in bear markets, right? The only mistake you can make in a bear market is not buying, right? Is not accumulating. The biggest mistake you can make in a bull market is not selling. But that's even a bigger mistake, because then, if you didn't buy, you didn't buy. But if you didn't sell, then that's like, man, you just wasted that whole opportunity. So to me, we're not even near finished yet. First of all, we don't have 5 waves, right? This is what we're looking for right here. This is what we're looking for, just flipped upside down, right? So what I can do, right? What I can do is take this, and I'll bring it to about there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it upside down. There we go. And I'm basically going to extend it out a little bit. So you can kind of see, look at this, guys, look at that. Look at that. There we go. So I don't think I ever did this before. Okay, there we go. So what I did is I flipped it. So there you go. That is a cheat sheet that they'll never tell you about. That is a cheat sheet that they will never tell you about. I found this out and I thought, wow, this is incredible, right? Because basically what I did, right, is I took this whole fractal, right, and I flipped it upside down. But that's what we're looking for, right? Because we're looking for 5 waves, right, of this whole cycle. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So some can argue that this whole thing is part of one super cycle, right? That whole thing is part of one super cycle, which is 5 waves. So we're in the 5th wave, right? So we want to sell at the end of the 5th of the 5th of the 5th, right? You know what I mean? So we want the best bang for our buck, right? So basically we need a 5-wave move. So let me move this out of the way, and let me just explain here, right? We have wave 1, we have wave 2, we have wave 3, we're in wave 4, we need wave 5, okay? But inside of wave 5, you have also 5 waves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we're going to want to see, right? Let's turn the RSI on. Okay, so here's the RSI right here. This is actually exciting. Are you excited? Because I'm excited. Okay, so here we go. So look at the RSI. Look how overbought it was. Chances are it's never going to go that high again during this cycle, right? So we're consolidating. It's going to bring the RSI down, right? And then eventually we're going to kick off a new wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then the RSI is going to continue to move up, but it's only going to get to about there. So guys, that's the chance right there. I just basically gave you the answer. Okay. So that's sort of what we're looking for here. So then what we have, ladies and gentlemen, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And and then also we have 5 waves, but we also have divergence, right? So you can see the third wave is here, and we're trending up to the 5th wave. So from here, up. And then the RSI is from here down. So this is going down, this is going up. That is bearish divergence. That is when you sell, right? Now, I'm not telling you that's when you should sell. We could actually, and it's not going to be as easy as you think. It's not going to, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be as easy as you think it is. It seems easy enough, but I'm telling you, it's challenging. It's very challenging because you have to know for sure. And here's the cool part. You don't really have to know for sure. What you do, and this is why I think I'm going to come up with a membership. And it's not going to be a lot. It might be like $2.99 a month, right? Something like that. Something easy somebody can afford. And I'm going to, as we get towards that phase, I'll probably give out some tips and tricks and things like that we can do, and then maybe I might add another tier that gives basically telling you exactly what I'm doing. Not to say that you should copy it, but if you want to know, that's I haven't decided, so we'll see about the membership type of thing. I already do a lot of content anyway, and it's all free. But I think I'm starting to maybe reduce a little bit, at least for time purposes, and then also have the same amount, but just be it more exclusive for trading strategies, right? And for actual when to buy, when to sell, when to do this, when to do that. Instead of just explaining the ideas, I'm really explaining what I'm doing and things like that. Now, a lot of guys, they like to say, you know what, I'm going to open a Discord and charge, $75 a month. And for people who really want to get serious. And I just think that would be way too much money. I just can't, I'm not that kind of guy who could take, I just don't feel like, some people feel like their value is high. Some people feel like their value is not so high. I feel like my value is pretty high, but I feel like I don't really want to charge a lot. I'm more looking at YouTube memberships, like I said, $1.99 or $2.99 a month. There are Discords out there for $20 a month, but they don't really give too much information. There's some that are, I've been in them too. I've been in a lot of different Discords. So I fill them out. I'm basically just testing them to see how people and how they sort of choreograph them and what kind of value I'm getting out of them. So I think $30 to $40 price range is between $20 and $40 is what people are willing to pay. And 75 is way too much. But, we'll see about that. So, that's sort of what I'm looking for the price of Bitcoin. Now, here's the thing. When's the 4th wave going to be done, right? So let me put this here. So according to this fractal, the 4th wave is nowhere near being done. It's nowhere near being done, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So if I flip this back right side up, so here's our 5-wave move, right? There we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have divergence between the 4th and the 5th. So all we're doing is flipping it upside back, right side up, and waiting for that. So if I'm holding, right, this is why there's a lot of uncertainty. So it's kind of tricky to do, but you have to sort of reverse your psychology. So go back. So basically, we're here, which is equivalent to us being here. So we really don't have much more to go. Or I'm sorry, actually here, because it's flipped upside down. So, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, no, I was right. It's here. So basically, all we have left is from here to here. So think about this being the bull run, right? Look, first of all, we started from December or back over here, and we went up, 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 right? So when we break out, people say, okay, the bull run's just getting started. No, the bull run's been already going on. The bull run's about to end, right? And you can say, well, how's that possible? My altcoin is still at the bottom of the barrel. That's because alts don't need a lot of time, right? When they, first of all, the most of the time is in accumulation. Like, I'll go to theta real quick. This is the wrong theta chart. Here we go. I use that one more for close-ups. So, once the altcoins, they establish their base, right? And when they get up here, most of the time is down here, which they already spent. And then a lot of the other time is working through the retracement levels up here. Once they break that, I mean, it could take literally 2 weeks and we're there. I mean, well, maybe more like maybe a month or two, right? So how long did this take? I'll go from here. That took about 160 days. I mean, yeah, it could take that long. And again, I think it's still going to take quite a bit of time because Bitcoin still needs quite a bit of correcting to do according to this fractal here. So here's another fractal, right, that suggests that we have much more correcting to do. So what I do here is this wave is actually bigger, so I have to extend it out. Look how big this thing is, right? So look how, guys, look how nice this thing shapes up here. See, people take fractals, they look for fractals, but they don't ever take a fractal and reverse it or flip it upside down. It's still the same exact thing, except it's reversed, right? So it's still the same. I mean, look how nice that is, right? I mean, especially in here, right? Look at this wave here. Look at the way it matches up nicely, and then the way it takes off. I mean, it's almost to the dot. So when I put it down here, I mean, look at that. Focus right here. You can see how nicely it sets up. And then look where it breaks out. It breaks out perfectly on time. It breaks out perfectly on time. So let me extend it a little bit more there to make it a little better. There we go. So according to this fractal, right, we should top out at 112. Let's see here. I would say between 112 and 140. So I don't know. Yeah. So that's 112,000 and 140,000. So my target has been usually between 84, 85K. If it's not going to be that, then it's going to be maybe 125K, 120K. But this is saying 112 to 140. So yeah, I think that lines up with that 125, 120 price target. So if I had to make an absolute guess, I would probably say about 115. It's either always going to overshoot or undershoot. But so let's look at this here. I mean, look at what we have here. Specifically right here, look how big this thing was. So according to this, we're not going to break out until in October. And that would make sense because of the summer months. So, man, that's just another point for the bears, right? So, you can see where this thing came, right? It actually back tested 50K right here. You could see it right there. So, and it's a little challenging because I had to scale it to fit the size, but I'm trying to fit it as best as I could, or best as I can. Yeah, so I'm thinking somewhere right there. Look at that. So we should reverse. We should be reversing right now, according to this. So I really liking this. So look at this. The bottoms here. We came up, right? Look at this. Even we shot up and we faked out. We came back down. I mean, this fractal is brilliant. And then we came here and look at this. This was an expanded flat. And the flat was a little bit off, but it still had that same correction in here. We popped up and then we met the top. And look at it, from the top to the bottom, it was perfect. We came down here. And now we should start trending down. So this correction is actually right here, I think. Yeah, because you can see it. It's bigger now. But yeah, that's sort of where we're at. So let me flip it back. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I really like the way it looks. It looks really good. So what I'm going to do is I want some more detail in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the daily chart and do the same fractal, but we're going to get much more detail. We're going to get much more detail in here. So there we go. And then I'll flip it, and then I'll bring it over here, and then I'll resize it to make it fit. Okay, so you know, it still looks very, very good. I mean, you can see much more detail, so you can see more, you know, deviations and minor nuances, but all in all, it's still very, very good. I mean, I'm looking at the way the wave is shaping, and it looks like a 5-wave move, as it should be. So according to this, we are in the middle of the 4th wave. So look at the fractal from here where we are. You can see what it's doing. Look at that. So, wow. So according to this fractal, we should drop hard. We should drop very hard. And then we should come back, test the highs, and then drop hard again. Whoa. That is gnarly. I mean, according to this fractal, it could be, I mean, you know, it's been following pretty well. I mean, a little differences in here, right? A little differences in here. But all in all, I mean, it looks pretty good, especially when I bring it up. Sometimes these fractals are hard to control. Come on, there we go. So even that move up was called perfectly. I just don't really like the way it's shaped, though, compared to what we've seen before. So I might have to resize it a little bit, maybe make it a little smaller. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's as good as it's gonna get. So wow. So what would that be then, if it was gonna do that? Well, to me, it just looks like a bull flag, right? We're flagging out here. So basically, the channel, you know, would continue, and we would just continue to break out. But what the Elliott wave count would be, well, I think that would be our original idea of WXYXZ. So WXYXZ, but something bigger like that, because the normal way was WXYXZ. But what if this whole thing was 1, 2, 3 W, right? 1, 2, 3 X, 1, 2, 3 Y, W X Y, yeah, and then another X, and then a Z. So W X Y X Z. That's a triple combo correction. And now, guys, this is a big video here because this is, this is interesting. Now it makes sense to me because remember when we talked about this area in here, I said, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have this big correction. Well, wait a minute. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's the big correction? We only have a little one, right? So we want to match in size, at least try to match in size. So this video, I'm sad to say, but it looks like we're going to be correcting for a while. I mean, that's just what it looks like. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, but that's what it looks like. And here's the cool part. The bull run ends, according to this, right at the end of the year. So that would make sense to me, right? That makes sense to me. Because the most bullish time, like we've been saying, is between October and December. So I really think, if I had to guess, alt season would be between October and December of this year. So, and you can say, well, that sucks because we have to wait. No, that's actually good. Why? Because you can prepare, you can build your ark, you can build your ship, right? A storm is coming. And, back then they didn't know if the storm was coming. We know the storm is coming. So we have time to prepare, right? So, yeah, I'm looking at this as pretty bearish here. If this is going to play, this is all according to this fractal here, by the way. So just understand that. So let me take all that off, and yeah. So basically, I put it on linear scale here to see the differences, and you can see it also matches up here quite nicely. So what I don't know is I wouldn't imagine we would have 2 drops. I mean, it's certainly possible, but I think it's more like that. So that would probably be my expectation, is something like this. So there we go. So that makes a little bit more sense to me. And you can see it still matches up nicely, and we don't have that second drop. So basically we have one more drop. So let me put it on log scale, and of course it messes up this. Okay, so I gotta reconfigure it. Actually, I think that's the problem. So the problem is when you have log scale, as the price goes up, the structures get smaller, right? Because of the prices exceeds. So that's why the scale is a little bit off, because when you're down here, you have to flip it upside down. So the scale here is bigger than it is up here. So what we would do then is just put it back on regular scale, right? On linear scale. So actually, when I put it on linear scale, it actually looks really good. So according to this, right, this is breaking news, by the way, and this basically, kind of validates another move down, right? So yeah, that's what we would see. So I'm going to go over an hour. Please like the video for the algorithm. So here we go. So here's my final take on this. So as you know, let me move this out of the way real quick. So as you know, we've been looking at this as what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Which inquired a big base for wave 2. Okay, so look at the size of that. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then all we get is this little thing, and then we're going to go to the moon? I mean, we could. And that's another thing. We could actually come up and hit the high and then do the big correction. Or the big correction is here now. And it would make sense because we're in summer months, right? So what I could see here, guys, is, I've been talking about this for, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks now, is this correction right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had this big correction in here, right? So we need something equal in size, or at least in price, right? remember, price corrects in time or through price. So this fractal here basically suggests that would give us the allotted time that was needed. So let me do this. So what I'm going to do is look at the base. Look at the base, guys. We actually have a base here, right? Then there's your base. So then when we look at this, I don't think anybody's ever shown this fractal, by the way. I don't think anybody's shown it because I don't think they, would even think to do it, right? Because it's a bear market fractal. But a bear market fractal is also a bullish fractal. Just flip it upside down, right? So it always challenges your bias when all you have to do is flip it upside down, and there's your wave, right? So now, right, if we pull back down to, 50 to 57K, then it's going to make more sense, and it's going to even out this correction, because this correction was long. So we need something similar in size. And if this is a macro fifth wave, guys, this is a macro fifth wave here, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if it's a macro fifth wave, then the fourth of the fifth should be bigger, which is why I'm suggesting we probably need more correcting to do. So let's look at that now. So what I'm going to do is put a line here just so we have the scale of it. And then I'm going to remove this. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at. So what that would be then is what we actually talked about, which is right here, the triple combo correction. Right? It sounds like we're at Jack in the Box or something. So we have W, X, Y, X, Z. And that, my friends, would allow the time to be proportional with wave 2, right? Because a lot of people, like when they do their analysis, I don't think they're gauging, time. I think they're looking at the shape and they got the correction, but you also have to have symmetrical, because every wave, a 5-wave sequence, each wave is doing something to the prior wave, right? So because look how big this thing was, this third wave. It was a big wave. I mean, we went from what, 25,000 all the way to $74,000? Huge. And how did that wave accomplish that? Because it had this guy right here. It had this sideways base. Okay, so if we want another big wave, what do the market makers want? Right? They need a big correction. So if we have something similar in size, that's going to allow a big pump to the upside. A big pump to the upside. Right? Because remember, the bigger the base, the higher in space. The bigger the base, the higher in space, right? So, if this is what it's shaping out to be, then I can totally see, some beautiful things happening in the not too distant future. We just got to deal with this correction right now. So, but yeah, that's how I'm looking at it there. So the price would be actually, about 110K. So now that I resized it a little bit, so about 110K, fair enough. I can resize it a little bit more down here to make it better. There we go. So here's what I wanted to say. So if we were to go up now, let's say the correction was over ABC, we got it, and now this is a 1-2, and we're going to go up. We'd probably gas out about 85K, and that would be it. So do you think BlackRock and all these corporations and all the big guys, do you think that's all they want? Or do you think they want a big return? They want a big return. In order to get a big return, you need a big base. And in order to get a big base, you got to have a lot of correcting, a lot of confusion. And where did the news come in? The crypto bill came in what? The X wave, right? So an X wave is just like a B wave. A B wave is usually a trap. An X wave is also a trap. And where did the news come in? Right? The Ethereum ETF came at the X wave. The crypto bill came at the X wave, which is what? Which lured everybody in so they can slam it down for wave Z. Right? So everything's starting to make more sense to me now. Right? And you got to experience that, live, right? Because I was like, I'm on the fence a little bit. But now I'm like, okay, this is starting to make more sense to me, right? Because we've been talking about these bases down in here for a long time, saying, this is a wave 2, this is a wave 4. It needs to match. There needs to be a match. If it doesn't match and we go up, then that means wave 3 wasn't finished and we just have another big base later on. So to me, I'm like, well, let's just get the base out of the way now. So all we have left is this Z wave down in here. And then we break this low, right? So let me remove the fractal here. Actually, let me take everything off the screen. So according to that fractal, right? We come down here, we break the low, we get everybody bearish, we say, okay, it's over, we're going down, right? And people say, okay, it's just a larger ABC. Then we go, and what happens is it actually gets a little bit more complicated than that. So somewhere, I would say between 50K and 57, or actually, yeah, I would say between, what is this area right here? Let me just mark it here. This area right here. So that's about 53K to 50K. So there we go. So you got to say, well, what the hell? If that's the case, if we have this new found information, right? That's why you got to watch, because, you never know what you're going to get with me. I did not plan on this video going this way. I didn't plan on talking about everything we talked about. I was just going to give us an update, but one thing leads to another, and here we are. So my channel is like Forrest Gump. You never know what you're going to get, right? So, we have this, you could say it's an ABC as well, but whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is WXYXZ. It gets us down here. And then it also takes more time, right? Because that's important. Because when you zoom out, look how small it looks. It doesn't look finished. Does it look finished to you? I mean, it kind of, if we break out, obviously, right? But to me, it just doesn't look finished, especially now that I look at this fractal. So basically, this whole thing, and that's what the market makers like to do. You ever ask somebody, like a magician, where's the best place to hide something? The best place to hide something is in plain sight, right? So what if this whole thing is actually this whole thing just in reverse? So the market makers actually did that, right, by just reversing it. I'm not saying that's the case, but, what if that's what they're trying to do here, right? So basically, because price moves according to, obviously, supply and demand, but the supply and demand move according to what the chart is saying, and that usually is based off of algorithms, right? Trading algorithms, like bots, right? Trading bots. There's more trading bots than there are actual traders, right? And there's more trading algorithms than there's our actual traders. So these algorithms going down do the exact same thing going up, just reverse. That's why it's always important to take a reverse fractal. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at there. So if I were to guess, let's zoom in a little bit more. So now that we have that information, if I zoom in, then we should probably expect, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and now we're going down. 1, 2, 3. Maybe we get 5, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, something like that, right? But, you know, again, we don't have to know right now. We don't have to know right now. Let's get down here, take out this low, and then take it to the moon, right? So it would be, it would make sense from a time perspective. It would make sense from a fractal perspective. It would make sense to trap traders. It would make sense because the Ethereum ETF and the crypto bill came out, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news. It would make sense because it's the summer months, right? So I'm starting to build the case for the bears. I'm not building it. It's building it for me, right? So ultimately, I am macro bullish. But when you zoom out, look at this. Does that look like anything to you? It looks like nothing, right? So, you know, all of that is just a little tiny blip on the radar to get a monster move towards 100K to 110K. So 110K is right about there. So if we want a big move in Bitcoin, right? In order to get the biggest move in altcoins, you need a big move in Bitcoin. In order to get a big move in Bitcoin, you need a really big base, a big correction, right? Because we're running out of gasoline here, right? We started all the way down here. We built a base, right? We started up here, and now we need to build another one. So I think that's what we're doing here. But instead more of a base, I think it could be more of a three-wave shape. So it's not going to be easy here. So again, going back to this being the fourth wave, and then we get the fifth wave, and then if we have divergence between the fourth and the fifth, right? Let me turn the RSI on. Well, not on that time frame. On the weekly, then you can start to see it. So, but yeah, that's the update. So what does that mean for like price of Theta, Ethereum, XRP, all those other coins? Well, guess what? You're gonna have to wait. And now that I have this information, right? It's only one piece of the puzzle. It could be totally wrong, right? We could still be going up, right? We could still easily disregard that fractal and say, you know what? We have the three-wave shape. 1, 2, 3. We have the three-wave shape. We have the back test of the bull market support band. We have a 1, 2. This could come down as a 1, 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2. And this thing can build a base into reaccumulation, right? So rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. That has been my main idea. That has been my main idea. That idea will change to what the idea we just talked about with the fractal if things get a little dicey in here. So we'll talk about it as the days. We don't have to know right away. But yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2. So when I look at for example, like Theta, you know, we have a pretty bearish candle here. So we can easily come down and finish this correction down here. So that would be an A, a B, and a C. And actually that would be a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And then we go to the moon. So I'm excited, right? That doesn't mean sell your crypto. Like people say, oh, I should just sell it now and buy back later. No, that's not what you want to do, because you don't know if that's going to be the case, right? So, you know, for me, I mean, not financial advice, maybe a tiny little bit, right? I mean, but it's, you know, you kind of wanted to do that when you're at the top of the range here. So if Theta gets one more wave down and we can backtest this Wyckoff area down in here, man, that would be a 1, 2, 1, 2. That would explode the price of Theta, right? So I'm going to definitely talk more about this on the next videos to come, right? Because, you know, the time is just getting crazy. Me and my big mouth. So I'm going to let you guys go. Appreciate everybody tuning in. So I appreciate everybody. By the way, if this video gets 100 likes, I will show you my new samurai sword. So if you want to check it out, hit like, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate all your comments. I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.